Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is MSA. Now, today I'm going to be talking to you about makeup hygiene, which is something that I am very passionate about. Just to let you know my background, I'm actually a doctor. I'm a GP and I work here in the UK. I fell in love with makeup a few years after I finished my GP training, and then I decided to go and become a qualified makeup artist. So I went to the London School of Makeup and I did a course there and got a certificate, which was a lot of fun. Now, the makeup school I went to taught hygiene really well, and I'm so glad that I actually went and did it. But obviously people come into makeup from all different backgrounds and you don't have to have a diploma at all. But one thing that should be standard across the board is hygiene. I'm very particular about hygiene, obviously, because I'm a doctor and it's part of my everyday work. But I find that since this corona pandemic, people have realized that preventing infection is very important. So this video is directed to makeup artists and also to the everyday person at home who does their own makeup, because I think we can all get better with hygiene so that we don't pass on any infection to other people or transmit it between people. So I really hope that you learned something from this, and I'm not doing this to criticize anybody or to make people feel bad or to shame them. I'm simply sharing my experience that I have in the hope that it will keep people safe and prevent the spread of disease. Now, I just want to say that obviously you may watch this video and get your makeup done by a makeup artist who may not be doing all the things that I am sharing, okay? You have a right as a customer to say, look, I am concerned about my health. Can you please do X or can you please not do Y? And I think an understanding professional makeup artist should listen to what you say and take your feedback on board and change. But if for example you're in that scenario and you do challenge professional makeup artists about this and they do not heed your advice, then you have the right at that point in time to say you no longer require their services and go elsewhere. It's your health, so you're in control of that. And for the makeup artists, again, I'm not trying to tell you how to suck eggs. I think most professional makeup artists they're going to know everything that I'm teaching you, but hey, we can all learn and come up higher. I just want to say I don't know every single thing about makeup hygiene, and even as a doctor, I'm still not an expert in everything to do with infection control. Please, if you ever meet a doctor that tells you that they know everything, that is your cue to run for your life, because no matter how well trained you are, any professional in any sphere in this world doesn't know everything, okay? So I think as doctors, there's that temptation to just feel like you're God and you know everything. You don't. I think we're all constantly learning. I'm constantly learning. So if there's anything in this video that you feel is not quite right or you feel I could do better, please drop a comment down below, because I'm open to learning and I just want to start this conversation between makeup artists and people at home as to how to be more hygienic. Okay, so let's get into this video. First step, number one, be healthy, okay? And that is for you as an artist and also for you as a client, or if you're doing your makeup at home. So starting with the makeup artist, if for example you have got a fever or a cough or loss of sense of taste and smell, those are quite classic signs for coronavirus, or classic symptoms, sorry. But also if you're feeling ill in any way, technically you shouldn't be going to work, because you can pass this on to your clients. Also, people who have diarrhea and vomiting, I often hear that, let's say they had diarrhea yesterday, they turn up to work the next day. That is actually not correct. You need to have a 48-hour window between your last episode of diarrhea and vomiting before you're going back to work, because if it's caused by a virus, you could then spread it onto your clients, whether or not you've had diarrhea vomiting that day. Please, so give it 48 hours before you're in contact with somebody else. The same goes if you are a client and you're going to go get your makeup done, if you know you've got the fever, you've got a cough, you're not feeling well, you've got diarrhea and vomiting, and you've not waited 48 hours from your last episode before you're going to see your makeup artist, you shouldn't be doing that, because you've got to think about them. Don't just think about yourself and what you want. Think about the people that you are in contact with. I always ask my clients when I'm doing their makeup if they've got conjunctivitis. So that is an infection caused by bacteria. It gives you itchy, red, sticky eyes where they're very, very gunky, because stuff like that, if you're doing makeup on somebody who's got conjunctivitis, just think about your eyeshadow, eyeliner, false eyelashes, all the equipment you're going to use around their eye. They can infect your kit, and then you will end up passing that on to other clients and just spreading that love around. So it's important to ask that question. Also ask if the patient has got cold sores, and if you notice they've got an active cold sore, that is a herpes virus. Again, that can be passed on. Just think about your lipstick, lip brushes, lip pencils as well. So that's a slightly tricky scenario. So be careful about that. People can also come in with lots of skin infections. So impetigo is a very common one. Some people, I think, call it golden staph in some countries, where it's, I'll put up a picture anyway so that you can see it, but it's red, it looks angry, it's got some yellow crusts on the surface. That is highly infectious. So you don't want to be applying makeup onto that. You'll pass it on to somebody else. Obviously, I'm a doctor, so I can pick out these infectious conditions very quickly. But if you're not medically trained, and if there is a shadow of a doubt that something may be infectious or not, I think the best rule of thumb is that just very politely decline doing makeup on that person, or get them to use their own brushes or all their own equipment. So that way, you're not going to be passing it on to other people. The next topic is hand washing. Right, so before you do your own makeup at home, wash your hands, or if you're not going to wash your hands, please use some alcohol gel. You can see I do this every single time before I do my own makeup. And this was taught to me by, it was actually Carly Bible, who's a great makeup artist here on YouTube. And by using hand sanitizer before I put my makeup on, I'm making sure that I don't have bacteria on my hands, which is going to go into my face and then cause a lot of breakouts. It's a really, really important first step. And then as a makeup artist, before you start applying makeup on your client, you should really be washing your hands. And also you should wash your hands in between clients and at the end of the day before you're going home. I think it's one of the single most effective way of preventing preventing the transmission of infection is washing your hands. I'll put a link down below as to the correct hand washing technique, but really it should be taking you about 20 seconds. So it's the time for you to sing happy birthday twice for you to wash your hands properly. So it's good to get the technique down so that you get every single bit of surface area on your hands, because the area that tends to have a lot of bacteria is usually around here that people miss. But anyways, I'll put a link down to the video so you can watch that. Okay. Even whilst I'm doing makeup on a client, if ever I feel that, I should just really disinfect my hands, say after I've touched their face or I've touched my kit or something else, I'll always go back to alcohol hand gel. The next thing I want to talk about is equipment. So first thing on the list are makeup brushes. Now, this is a very easy way to spread infection if they're not clean. So it's very, very important that, say as a makeup artist, you have clean brushes for every single client that you're going to encounter. And then obviously you may have a few clients booked back to back. So in between clients, it's very important that you clean off product off your brushes. So in that scenario, you can use something like a makeup brush cleaner, for example, or I also like using something like this, which is Cinema Secrets. And literally you put this in a little container, you pop your brush into it only about 1/3 of the way up, and it soaks up the liquid. And then you get some paper towel and you clean it off. And it's a great way to sanitize your brush before you're moving on to the next client. Generally, after I do a makeup job, no matter how many clients I do it on, even if it's one client for that day, I will go home and I wash all my brushes with soap and water. I make up my own brush washing solution, which is I use about 1/3 of olive oil and then 2/3 of fairy dishwashing liquid. That's all it is. Doesn't have to be anything more, how do I put it, high tech than that. And it really does a good job with getting rid of bacteria off your brushes. Now for people doing makeup at home or doing makeup on yourself, I think it's a good practice to wash your brushes roughly about every 2 weeks. Just to make sure you're not building up lots of product, because that's just a reservoir for bacteria to just grow and multiply, and just think you're just going to be putting that onto your face. So it's good to get into the habit of washing your brushes regularly. Then moving on to beauty blenders. So again, these can harbor quite a lot of bacteria. So as a makeup artist, have loads of them in your kit. I generally like to have a whole bunch, and for each client I'm probably using about 2. So in my kit I may have like 10 or so beauty blenders depending on the number of people I have that day, and I just use new ones for each client. But if you don't want to do that, just carry some like a solid brush cleaner or just some form of makeup or beauty blender cleaner, and in between clients wash it off. So you shouldn't be using this from client to client to client, because you're just spreading infection that way. For myself at home, when I'm doing my own makeup, I do try to clean my beauty blenders I think roughly every 2 weeks, depending on what products I'm using with them. To be honest, I probably should do it a lot more frequently. You could even wash them daily if you want to. But yeah, beauty blends are something I don't think you could ever wash them too much, and try to replace them probably every 3 to 6 months as well. Now, for the next bunch of equipment I'm going to go through and how to keep them clean, I use this. This is isopropyl alcohol, so it's 99.9% alcohol. And what I do, because obviously this is really big, this is like 5 liters, so you can't really carry this from job to job. I decant it into a smaller spray bottle, and this is what I use on the go to sanitize things, and this is all going to make sense. So say for example something like an eyelash curler. Again, if you use it from client to client to client, you're just going to be spreading bacteria everywhere. So I get a typical makeup cleaning wipe, I clean off all the stuff that's on it, and then I use the alcohol in here. I spray it on really well, leave it for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then that's sanitized. You can use it on the next client. Same goes for things like eyelash applicators and tweezers, because again, they can harbor a lot of bacteria. So again, I clean it off with just a makeup cleaning wipe, and then after that I use the spray it on there, leave it for up to a minute, and then it's good to go for the next client. So these little things are really important ways of stopping you from passing passing infections onto other people. Right, the next thing to keep clean are palettes. So that can be eyeshadow, blushes, lip palettes, for example. So I'll just show you ones like this that often professionals will use from job to job. Now, I think it's good practice to, again, get your alcohol and say after a job, just give it a very light spray. Hopefully you can see it just like this. It doesn't have to be very close. You don't have to use a lot. And the good thing about alcohol is that it evaporates very quickly. So it's not going to destroy your palettes. So it's really good to do that regularly. And also, palettes tend to get messy. I'm guilty of that. So again, I use a makeup wipe and I try to clean around all the areas around the product just to get off any extra product. It just looks cleaner, and again, you're just minimizing the spread of bacteria and for it to just keep multiplying and growing. Another important thing to have in your kit is these single-use makeup capes. So you pop it like this around the client before you start applying their makeup to protect their clothes, obviously. And I know it's bad because it's plastic, and I wish there was a better eco solution for this, but for now this is the best that I know of. So I usually keep a bunch of them in my kit. I change them from client to client and I throw them away because again, this is close to the client's skin, so you don't want to be using them from one person to another person to another person. The next thing I want to talk about is the hygienic use of products in your kit. Okay, so say for example, this is a lipstick palette. What I sometimes see people do is that they'll get a brush and they want to mix colors. So they'll just popping it like this, then they'll put it on the client, and then they're going to go to the next client and do the same thing. That is not good. That is a very easy way for you to spread bacteria. Instead, what you need to do, get yourself a spatula, and I'll put some links as to where you can buy them. This one is from MAC, but most makeup brands will sell this kind of equipment, so it's a good thing to have. Also get yourself one of these metallic mixing palettes. They're great because you can clean them, and it just prevents you from spreading bacteria because, again, metal is quite easy to clean. So what you do, say you want to get a bit of lipstick out of your palette, you use your spatula, actually scoop out the amount of product you think you're going to use, and then you want to put that onto your mixing tray. Now it's not going to come off because I'm on camera, but you get the drift. Pop it onto your tray, and then you get your brush or whatever equipment you're going to use and apply it onto the client's face. So that way you're not just dipping into this. Just think about, say you went to a party and you had chips and dip or like some starters. You don't double dip. That's just the general rule. So just apply that to any makeup product. Don't double dip. Obviously palettes can be used for things like foundations, concealers, cream blushes, for example. So any product, cream product you have in a palette, always first pop it onto one of these before you put it onto your client, and use your spatula. And then at the end of your job with that client, clean it off before you move on to the next client. Obviously you can use your makeup cleaning wipes and then spray it with that alcohol sanitizing spray, as I said before, and that way it's good to go. Now, the other thing I see people do is liquid liner. Okay, so basically you can see it's got that applicator, and then they use it from one client to the next client to the next client. So just think again, you're picking up bacteria from one person, you're putting it back in here where it can grow and multiply, and then you're going to take it out and put it on another person. Okay, so to prevent yourself from transmitting any bacteria, again, get your little mixing palette and put a bit of the product on there. Put as much as you think you're going to need, and then get your brush, your clean brush, and apply it onto that client. So that's a good way of preventing spread of any bacteria that way. Obviously in some of my tutorials you're going to see me using this on myself, and that's fine because I know this is a product I'm going to use on me. So if you're doing your makeup at home, then obviously just apply it straight onto your skin. But if you're sharing it or putting it on multiple clients, you need to always pop it onto something else. Don't apply it directly. Now, moving on to sanitizing lipsticks. And this is important, not just say if you're applying lipstick on a client, but say if you're even going makeup shopping. Because often I'll see people in stores and they'll just grab a lipstick tester and put it straight onto their lips. And again, you don't know how many people have used that. You don't know if they've got cold sores or anything else. That's just that's a no-no. So what you need to do first of all, so I just got a bit of kitchen towel here. Get the lipstick or a piece of tissue, wipe it off to get off any, just to clean off like the top layer of that lipstick. Get your alcohol spray and spray all the surfaces of that lipstick. Leave it for about a minute for that to kill off any bacteria. Or I think I see stores like MAC, they actually have these solutions in these containers, and then they dip the lipstick in there for about 30 seconds and let it dry, then you can use it. So that's just a really quick and easy way to keep your lipsticks clean. And even sharing between friends as well. Trust nobody, okay? Always disinfect it before you use it on somebody else. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is makeup bags. So obviously a lot of makeup artists keep different things in bags like this in their kit. Again, product can sometimes escape and sort of live on the inside of these bags, so it's really good. Every few weeks, just again, what I generally do is get a makeup cleaning wipe, and I'll empty everything out of this, but I clean the inside of it first with a makeup wipe, but obviously that's going to be very moist and very damp. So while it's still damp and drying, then I go in with a bit of kitchen towel and wipe the inside so that it's dry, and then leave it to air dry for, if you can, for a few hours before you put your product back in. Because when you think about it, if this is sealed, you're keeping that in a kit, which might be in a car, it gets hot, and lovely moist environments is often where bacteria will thrive. So it's a really good idea to keep them as clean as best you can. And if they're looking really old and crusty, just throw them out and get a new one. Okay, so I think that's the bulk of what I wanted to talk about, really. I think I've covered the basics. Obviously, we could go deeper into this topic, but this is just the basics. So I really hope that you've learned something. I really hope that it's encouraged you to try some different techniques on how to keep your kit clean, and if you're doing your makeup on yourself at home, what to do. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to creating another video for you very soon.